This is day one of working on my Lexus IS300, and the goal is to remove the transmission and to see what's leaking inside of it, since there's transmission fluid leaking all over the ground when the car gets warm, and it's coming directly from the engine and transmission point of contact. So far I've just took off the exhaust, and we have a oxygen sensor also taken off, and the exhaust is on this side right here on the grass. All I have taken off so far is a bolt here, bolt on the bottom, and a bolt on the other corner. And then for the other end, it's just 2 bolts on each side. Super easy, super simple. So you're just left with the muffler end of the exhaust. That'll be for the first part of this process of removing the transmission. So you just remove the exhaust. All I used here, this is for the oxygen sensor, it's a 7/8. I use a 17 mil, but I believe it'll be a 16 and a 14 millimeter to take off those exhaust bolts, which I have right here. And there will be 5 in total after removing the entire exhaust system that's on the ground right there. So after you get that done, you're on to the next part, which is the drive shaft. Make sure your car is in neutral also when you do this. All right, we are under the car now. Here is the drive shaft. It goes all the way back to the differential. You have to remove heat shield number 1, and then there's a plastic other piece that covers it. And to take this one off, 10 millimeters. Hopefully I don't lose mine, but 10 millimeter for this one. And then for this plastic one, looks like also it's going to be a 10 millimeter on each one. Let's see. Yep, it's a 10 millimeter also. So next part, just get rid of this plastic one and this aluminum cover tray to get better, so we can pull down the freaking drive shaft. Here you go. Now they're both now taken off. You'll have 3 of these guys for the aluminum one. 1, 2, 3. Just have a box for these parts, and then you should have. I had 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be 5 of them. Also stash them in a box. Just put these away somewhere. And then for the drive shaft, you're going to need a 14 millimeter. 2 of these, or freaking a wrench machine. Alright, so for the process of removing, I'm backwards right now, but the process for removing the drive shaft, you got 4, and make sure you're in neutral so you can spin it. Then you'll have 2 more in the middle, which is the middle part of the drive shaft. And that's basically all. So you just need to remove 6 of these 14 millimeter bolts, and it basically should just slide out from the transmission when you pull it out. And then make sure to not damage the part of the drive shaft when you pull it out, because that's 100% not needed to be scratched. Basically, it's on the other side too, so I'm going to put a 14 on there, and then I'm using an impact for this side, the 14 extension on it. Yeah. But basically that's all you need. So I'll see you guys in the next part. Almost forgot. You need to drain the transmission fluid out before you pull your drive shaft, because I almost did. Just screw it back in because it's going to start spilling out like crazy from the drive shaft point contact. So it's a 14 mil. Just drain into a drainer thingy, and that's it. All right, the drive shaft is now out of the vehicle. And basically, when you pull out this end from the transmission, it will start leaking like crazy. And then for this end, you will need a hammer like right here with something, because this ring, it like gets stuck and it's been in the car for more than 20 years. So just give it a nice little hammer on this little circle here. I used a little hammer like this. Give it a nice little hit. It came right off, but when you pull it out of the transmission, it will start leaking like crazy. So just put your oil drip pan, and just let it drip, and eventually it will stop, and then just give it a wipe. And that's it. Your drive shaft is out. Nothing crazy, super simple. 4 bolts there, 2 bolts in the middle, comes right out, just like that. Super nice. Alright, so for this second part, you will have your transmission connected to your shifter, which will be right here. All I did was pull out this little pin tab with some pliers. Basically, when you pull it out, there's 2 rings that should come out. You basically just pull it out, and there'll be 2 rings on the other side also, and just pull this lever down, and then just put the washers back on and put the clip back on like that, so you don't lose anything. So now that's disconnected from the shifter from the inside, so that's good for that part. And then for the next part, gotta get rid of these hard lines right here. Here's one, and there will be a couple clamps holding them together, and the other one is right here. So you gotta disconnect both these lines before you pull it off. Maybe it's even possible to disconnect it here. I'll check just to make sure. Alrighty, so for the hard lines, there's 2 lines. There's one that I already disconnected right there. It's kind of hard to pull it out since it's connected over here, and they're both connected to each other. So basically just unscrew it with a 10mm over here. Once that 10mm is gone, it should have more mobility for the further line. More mobility. And then for the second one, you'll have to unscrew this exhaust hanger bolts. One right here, one right here. And then you'll get better access to that hard line right there in the middle, that top bolt, while holding the big bottom part while spinning that one off. But yeah, this side is basically super easy. Just spin it down, because to unscrew it, a bolt like this, you have to spin it this way, which is going to be, if you're looking from here, it'll be counterclockwise. If you're looking from the other way, it's going to be clockwise. So basically just spin it down. That should come out easily. It will spray a little bit. Just grab a rag. Well, basically for the hard lines, that's all you need. Just unscrew that 10mm that's holding both of them, and then unscrew that bracket, and I'll get to the next part. Alright, I was able to successfully remove both the hard lines with just a 17mm, and I didn't even have to use a support wrench that I believe is 18 or 19mm on the part right here, and then the other one down there. I didn't even have to hold it. I just put a 17, cranked it down on both sides. I broke it loose and it started spinning off. Super easy, wow. And it freely moves like really easily, so you don't even have to bend anything. All you gotta do is unscrew that 10mm like I showed before, wherever those lines connect, those hard lines. Just unscrew that 10 so they're both free from each other. You can see that bracket there that used to be there. Yeah, so I just unscrewed that, and it's basically free moving both. Wow, very nice. Alright, on to the next step. Alright, after removing your lines, your hard lines, the next step is the bell housing bolts. You'll have 2 on this side, 2 on this side, 2 on the bottom here, and 2 on the top. On this right side of the transmission, I've taken off 2 so far. The bottom one right here, where you can see it's missing, is super easy. All I used was a 10-inch extender. Right here, I used a 10-inch extender with a swivel and a 17mm. And then for the top one, it is very hard and it's very far. It's up there. When you do it yourself, you will see it. I'll try to get a flashlight in there. Alright, there you go. So the first one is right there. You can see it. There's that one right there.
And then the second one is way up there. It's gonna be hard to see, but it's gonna be in the middle of the frame behind that thing. It's way back there. And to get that one, I basically added a 20-inch extension with a 10-inch extension, and I was able to pull it through from under here. From under here and going through. Oh, what the heck? This thing is so long. But yeah, basically went through from the bottom here with the swivel, and with your second hand, try to make the swivel get in contact with that top bolt. Get it nice in there. You should just have just enough space for a breaker bar, like a long one, but mine's too long. But try to get something shorter, and then after that, just use a impact to slowly screw it out. And those will be your first two bell housing bolts to remove from the transmission. Alrighty, after you complete the passenger side for those two bolts, you'll get to the driver side and take the two bolts. So I first started off with this negative charge, which is a 14 mil, which will be on this side right here. And I just use one of these guys. It's kind of tight, but pull on it kind of hard. You should take it off. Shouldn't be too crazy hard. And then for the first bolt on this side, this has an angle on it. I use the angle side to reach so it has more space, and I was able to take the bottom bolt off of the starter. You have to really put some strength to it and it will come off. After that, I used my 10mm extension with the 20 connected to each other, went through this side, went all the way through, and reached all the way to the top where the other starter bolt is. And with my second hand, I was able to grab the swivel and put it into the starter itself, the top bolt there. After that, I just used the breaker bar from here and I spinned it off. And before you remove the starter, make sure your car is unplugged and take off. There's one sensor to remove, and then there's a 12mm bolt you got to remove also off of the starter to get it off. It's somewhere here floating. Yeah, here you go. You gotta get a 12mm bolt, and that's basically all. And the starter just comes right out, and there you go. That's the next steps. Alright, so after removing the starter, you will remove your bolts from the inside where your flywheel sits, and there'll be 6 of them, and they are all 14mm. I used a 1/2-inch ratchet with a 14mm socket, and I had somebody else help me by putting a crowbar into where the starter goes, so they're able to put it nicely there so it holds the flywheel from spinning, and I was able to unscrew it off, and we did it 6 times rotating. And then I had the 14mm bolt right here taken off with just a regular ratchet right here. And that's basically it. And all you have left now is the 2 bolts, the big ones from the bottom and the 2 on top. And that's it. Alright, so for this next part, it's the wiring. It's basically straightforward. You have one wire on the passenger side, and at the top right here, you just need to push that little tab in and basically just slide it out. You're gonna have to put in some force because these wires have been connected here for a very long time. And then going to the driver's side of the transmission, you have 3 here. There's also another big one, which I was able to reach under the transmission cross arm that supports the transmission. I was able to also touch the tab on top. You can tell right there's a tab. And I was able to just slide it right out. And then you have another small sensor right there that's already unplugged. And this one was super easy to take out, so that'll be the 3rd sensor that I've taken out so far. And then the 4th one, it's way up here. It's the first one I was able to take out, but it looks like the owner that owned the car previously broke it or something, because they put some kind of glue stuff. I'm not sure what that gray stuff is, but that sensor is very bad. But I was able to pull it out. So that's the 4th sensor to pull out. And it might be possible that there is a 5th sensor it's going to be way up there, like way past this. Somewhere where that metal thing is behind there somewhere. See where this wiring harness goes up there? There might be another sensor up there, which I'm not sure. And then you would also want to disconnect the wiring harness from this bracket, which I used some kind of picks. I was able to pull this wire out from this bracket right here that I'm showing you guys. But yeah, that's the steps for the wiring process. And now we're just left with the 2 bottom bolts and the 2 top bolts that's holding the transmission bell housing. So for that one, we will have to drop the transmission slightly by taking these off and slightly jacking it down. But before you do that, you will have to go where the engine mounts are, right here. You'll have to just loosen out both of the bolts on each side on this car, so your engine can tilt slightly. So when you drop this cross member for the transmission, it can tilt down so you can reach the top bolts. But basically, that's what we have for right now. Alright, so the other sensor that I was talking about that I thought existed doesn't exist. So there's only 4 sensors. Wherever this wiring harness is going to, it basically has another one of these little brackets, but way up there. So I'm going to have to use a pick to take the bracket off this wiring harness so it can be fully free once I drop the transmission slowly. And if anything, it might be even easier just to drop the transmission slowly to take off that bracket that's holding the wiring harness. But I'll give it a try with it on with just a long pick. Alright, yeah, so for that top wiring harness, I'm going to have to drop the transmission a little bit slowly with the transmission jack that I will be purchasing tomorrow from Harbor Freight. And I will, in the next video, show you guys how it looks like. It should be around 140 bucks, somewhere around there. It's pretty good. I've seen videos on it, so I'm going to drop it slowly and I'll be able to take that clip off. And basically, this transmission will be fully loose. And all I'll have to do is just take these off. 1, 2, and the top 2. And this should just slide right out, and that should be all for the transmission removal. Alright, it's the next day. I purchased the transmission jack stand. It is currently holding the transmission. And I removed 4 of these 14mm bolts. And I dropped it about 1.5 inches, I say. And I was able to throw the strap over the transmission by slowly dropping a 1/2 inch. And I was able to use a pick to get to the other side, and I just tightened down the strap. And I currently used a 20mm extension and a 10mm extension with the 14mm bolt with this drill gun to get the top 2 bolts from here. I basically put on one from this side of the extension. Once I unscrewed that one, I did it on this side also through here. Right between here, not behind it, but to the side. I just put the extension through. And I was able to get the 2 bolts on top loose. So now I'm gonna jack up the vehicle and I'll get the last 2 bottom ones. But there you go, there's one of them. It's already loose back there, if it can focus. And then the other one is on this side. I don't know if you can see, but they're both loose now. And so we'll get to the next step and I'll let you guys know if it's separated smoothly. So I already have dropped this transmission down as much as I can, but the previous video that I was recording, I said to unscrew these to get to the top 2 bolts. And then before that, I said that you had to unscrew the engine mounts slightly to make them loose to be able to drop the transmission better for those 2 top bolts up there. So after you unscrew the 2 top bolts, the ones you had to reach from very far, when they're fully unscrewed, lift the transmission back up where this is touching here. Go back to the front, tighten the engine mounts back up. There's 4 of them, like I showed. Make sure you tightly tighten them wherever it's at, right here. On both sides. So this side too, and then the other side too, in that hole right there. And then once the transmission's back up there, it's tight. And now it's time to unscrew the last 2 small bolts that are left, which were these 2 right here. 1, 2, and they'll be from this side. Just unscrew those 2 14s, and basically this whole transmission is free to move on its own. and I struggled for like 15 minutes trying to take it out. But as you can see, there's a little knob right there. I hope I didn't bend mine. So you basically have to lift the transmission up, make sure it's slightly still getting supported by this jack, and then slowly just push back and forth until you slide it out at least an inch, I'd say. Just enough for this to disconnect from the engine itself. So you leave yourself a nice little gap, and once that's done, basically the transmission, just drop it slowly, hold these lines over to the side, and just keep going slowly. Make sure your wires are disconnected, all the little harnesses disconnected from the holders that hold just the wires, so you don't rip anything out. And basically that's it. The transmission's out. And obviously it's too low, so I'm gonna have to jack up one side and just slowly slide this out, and that's basically all. And I guess we'll check out and see why this transmission's leaking.
So for the hardest part of this all, to take this transmission out from under the car, because the transmission is so big, plus the height of that transmission jack, it's basically impossible to pull it out. I jacked up this side completely high, bell housing way too high. Same thing with the front. Jacked it up all the way, how much this jack goes, still the bell housing is too high. So what I did was I unstrapped the transmission from the bell housing side. I slowly kept sliding it, and I was able to slide it and drop it on the creeper. As you can see, there's some dents because it kind of went a little too quick on me, and the wheel started rolling away, so the freaking transmission just fell. But gladly, the bell housing landed on the creeper, so it's fine. And basically, the rear just landed on the cross member. It just landed on that, so I don't think anything is broken. But one thing to be careful with is this. I'm not sure what it's for, but I did break it, so I'm gonna have to buy a new one. But yeah, basically, that's all. Your transmission is out. Check for any leaks. That's what I will do. I'm gonna pull out my torque converter and just check out why the freaking transmission is leaking. So I actually found my transmission leak. It was the torque converter seal, which I believe is the main seal, the front main seal. I'm not 100%, but when I pulled off the torque converter, I saw this little wire. It was sticking out at the bottom when it's supposed to be inside this rubber. So when I pulled it out, most of this was visible to me, and when I tried to pull out, this is what came out. So this seal is very bad, and I actually was able to pull it out. So that's most likely where my leak is actually coming from. And I tried to take it out with what's it called, a pick. There's no point in trying. It's so like tight in there, it's basically impossible. And make sure to not also scratch the outer. Make sure to only touch the inner side of the actual torque converter seal. And what I did, I saw a video online, all I did is just take a 10 mil and a hammer, and I was able to wedge this 10 mil like this at an angle. So I basically put it like this, and I pushed it in like that with a hammer, and I just did it on both sides, put it at an angle. I was able to get it stuck, banged it out, slowly came out, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, and basically it pulled right out. But hopefully that's all. But just to be sure, make sure to replace all the seals possible for transmission leaks, since you don't want to do all that work again just for it to start leaking again for no freaking reason, because you replaced the wrong thing. So just make sure to replace all the seals, and you should be good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this helped. I know I didn't really show how I did it, but I hope the steps that I gave, or the tips, will help you to remove this transmission. And honestly, it's not too hard. This could be done within 3 hours. For me, it took a span of a whole week, since some days I just didn't want to work on the car. But yeah, basically in 3 hours, you could get this done really quick. So it's not too hard. You just got to be obviously careful. Don't lose any bolts. And that's basically all. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll make another video putting the transmission back in, and I'll see if I can record the process of me actually putting it in, rather than telling what to do and getting to the next steps. So see you guys again for another video soon, maybe next month, putting the transmission back, or maybe in this week. Well, yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video. See ya.